Welcome to Financial Flight Academy with John Schutz and Brent Connolly from Soar Wealth Strategies. In this podcast, we inspire families and business owners to build a foundation for their financial future. We do this by listening and building trust with our clients. Join us for this journey where we explore ways to protect your nest and live out your dreams as John and Brent draw from years of experience and guest experts to help you take that leap of faith.
Well, this is a story today of a man who went from rubbing shoulders with Warren Buffett and the GEICO to owning his own business and now running an amazing charity here in Omaha and other cities called Chariots for Hope. I'm John Schutz.
And I'm Brent Connolly. We are the founding partners of Soar Wealth Strategies, and we want to welcome Jason Hurt to Financial Flight Academy.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jason.
Good. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You can at the end of this, we'll see if you feel the same way. Well, Jason may have the worst name for his current avocation. Jason Hurt is in the business of helping people. And your story is an inspiration for people who may feel caught up in the rat race, I think. So let's get right to it, Brent.
All right, Jason, let's go back to small town, central Illinois, where you grew up. Tell us a little bit about what life was growing up for you.
Oh, man, I wish I had an exciting story, but it was boring. Central Illinois, cornfields, but good people. It was a great area to grow up, middle class. Was big into sports, had just good friends, good family. Not a lot of craziness going on. But I had a pretty athletic background. And so that was kind of my focus growing up in Jacksonville, Illinois, right outside of Springfield. So,
all right.
Seems like Jacksonville, Florida would have been a better, but yeah.
Go ahead. Right.
Yeah. It's nothing to brag about, but it was my hometown and loved it and just kind of got into the basketball thing. And
okay.
And that was my route for 4 years of high school.
And we, of course, like talking finances. You had a pretty good tutor for finance as far as your father.
I did, yeah. So my dad was in the financial industry. He was just CEOs of different banks growing up. So credit unions, banks, just kind of bounced around as you know in that industry. And so, I had a real good mentor, a real good role model to look after. And so at a very young age, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, is to pursue business and be successful like my dad.
So any particular lessons you took from him?
Yeah, I tell you, he was very frugal. I mean, I never saw him live outside his means. And so that just stuck at an early age. Didn't carry a lot of debt, still had fun. But did not live outside his means, had a budget. So budgeting was a big part of me growing up. Like, Dad, I want to go out. No, we don't have enough money this month.
Right.
So just really focused and
Sure.
was very disciplined in that area, which now at the time I hated, but now I so appreciate.
So, speaking of that, talking to your dad about budgets and things like that, what were some of the maybe defining moments for you growing up in that small town that kind of set you on the path for your own success?
Yeah, I would say there was a couple of different things. As far as one, you always have that story of that person that was not a cheerleader for you.
Right.
And so I had a pretty successful high school basketball career, but unfortunately, one of my coaches was not on my side. And it was just small town politics. My dad was the banker and tried to get a loan, and my dad denied him. And ever since that happened,
no.
just silly stuff, right?
Right.
But just always like, hey, you're going to amount to nothing. You're nobody, that type of stuff.
He actually told you that?
Yeah, he told my some of my parents' best friends, not to my face.
No.
But
wow.
He told several friends, small community, we all know each other, and so just several times would he say that, and it's just funny. It was right after the denial of the loan.
Huh.
I'm not sure.
That is odd.
Yeah, that is odd.
Timing of that is interesting.
Right. So, it's just, once you hear that as a young kid, that has an impact on you. I don't care, how big the town. And so I just had a real desire to say, no, I am going to make something out of myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove to you that, I'm more than what you're telling people that I am.
Awesome.
So that was a defining moment. That kind of helped motivate me. But then again, just my dad's success. And he was a humble leader. And so I do appreciate that. I think that you do have some successful people out there that obviously are letting the world know about it.
Yeah.
And so I just appreciate that he did. And he was very humbled, very giving, very just a great guy. And so I think just seeing him throughout the 4 years of my high school career and how he handled money and how he handled people and his success, it just stuck with me. Like, that's what I want to be.
Well, so then you get motivated by Mr. Basketball Coach, who we will not name. But so coming out of high school, what is it that you wanted to do with your life that you were motivated to show that guy?
So yes, I wanted to be Jerry Maguire, right? Show me the money.
Right.
So I wanted to go ahead and be a sports agent. So
Uh-huh.
that was my focus. Obviously love sports, but realized that I was a 6'5", athlete that couldn't jump very high. so that was probably not going to work out well for me. And then once I did that, but I still wanted to be in that environment.
Right.
And so I started pursuing and researching again. Father helping me do that in high school. A lot of them don't. Let's sit down. Let's map out what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so, I just really there's a sports business side of what I love. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to pursue that. Sports agent, obviously, was very intriguing. The whole law school, I was always wanting to go to law school. So it just made sense. And so researched a lot of programs and came across a sports administration program at the University of South Carolina, which at the time, it was the best program in the country. So that's where I went.
Ended up at South Carolina. And I understand the Big Hurt met you're not a small guy, but
right.
Apparently
at the time I was bigger than the Big Hurt.
Really?
Yeah, I was about 290 pounds. I was a power lifter.
Wow.
And so, I got into an elevator with him and he wouldn't have a clue who I am today. But I worked a short time. I worked at the Chicago White Sox in their sales department.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a fun experience being in Chicago and hanging out with those guys. But yeah, got into the elevator and, saw the Big Hurt and introduced himself, and I said, "I'm Jason Hurt," and he looked at me and said, "There's only one Big Hurt in this organization," and then left. Got off the elevator.
That's great.
Didn't know if he was serious or not, but I was freaking out.
A little insecure, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'll get up on the next stop. Yeah.
Exactly.
So then, how did you get in? You obviously didn't pursue that. What happened next?
Yeah. So I went to college. Again, I didn't start off. That was my last 2.5 years at South Carolina. I finally figured out the best program, but. Went to South Carolina, graduated, had a couple opportunities to work at some sports organizations, went to Chicago just because I'm from Illinois, worked with the White Sox, but actually Jerry Reinsdorf, who owns the White Sox and the Bulls, at the time was speaking to us and just really hit home a message saying, look, basically what he said in my words is if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't be following this route because this is like a fraternity. It's very small. It's going to be hard if you're wanting to go ahead and kind of rise up in an organization. You could be in a sales department for 25 years.
Yeah. Right.
And so I would probably go ahead and hook up with corporations, which there's many more of those in sports teams, and kind of rise up through the sports marketing route. So that really hit home. Like he's pretty much going, "Hey, look, thanks guys, love you, but I wouldn't stay."
Yeah, but he was being honest.
But he was being honest.
Some guidance there, yeah.
For people who are ambitious and want to move up and want to, pursue their career in an aggressive manner. So yeah, I'm just like, I don't want to be selling luxury box suites for the rest of my life. So I want to do more than that. So yeah, thanks, Jerry. I take your advice and I give you my 2 weeks.
Right. Okay. Well,
and he's like, okay, so what? I don't even know who you are anyway.
This will cripple the organization if Jason leaves.
It's going down. Jason Hurt is leaving.
So okay, so you take that advice from Jerry, and then let's fast forward now to a very successful corporate career. Tell us a little bit about your experience at GEICO.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came back, being at the time, most of my family was in St. Louis. And so as I was researching that and going, well, what's some of the better sports marketing organizations out there? Enterprise Rent-A-Car, growing fast, filled with young folks like me at the time. And so I'm like, this is it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start with Enterprise. And Enterprise is based out of St. Louis. And so I went back to St. Louis and started working for Enterprise, thinking I was going to go ahead and go climb up the ladder. Well, everybody that starts with them, most everybody starts off in a suit washing cars in the rental department, in the rental area. So I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't what Jerry Reinsdorf told me. This is horrible.
We finally got rid of that kid.
Exactly.
I sent him over to Enterprise.
He's doing what he's meant to do, wash cars in a suit.
I'm like, all right, I've arrived. This is awesome. Getting paid like $2 an hour. So I realized quickly, I'm like, okay, something's gonna have to change. I did that for about a year, but actually it was great. Some of the best discipline I received at any job.
Right.
They had a plan, they had a strategy. They were trying to weed certain people out. And so I just really, that was probably some of my best moments as far as just discipline, training, and development in corporate. But still, I came across a great opportunity with Progressive Insurance. And so it's an insurance organization, as you're probably aware of. And it was an adjuster position. And of course, adjusters work with rental folks. And so it was just like, man, I could work out. I had an entrepreneurial heart from day one.
Sure.
And so it was just getting closer to that without actually starting my business, kind of having your own car, working out of your home. So I did that. And then once I got to Progressive, I just had it was just a better opportunity at GEICO. And that's what led me to GEICO, where it's like more money, more opportunity. And so I kind of, at that time, that's when Warren Buffett was taking over. So I liked that concept, I'm like, okay, what's this going to look like? So then about a year and a half after Progressive, then I went to GEICO in St. Louis and became a local adjuster in that area.
I love the fact that you weren't afraid and just jumped in, and were just like a sponge, soaking up all the experience you could.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
But so now it didn't, we're going to fast forward a few years here. You get into a very high level at GEICO.
Yeah. So I would say that ride was it was 150 miles per hour for me. I came on as an adjuster. Within a year, I'm in a team lead position, and then just keep climbing up, getting moved all over several different markets. And so we're going to Alabama. We're going to, of course, St. Louis. We're going to Atlanta, Georgia. And then Atlanta, Georgia, from there, it was kind of the mountaintop of my ride. Everybody wanted to go to New York if you work for GEICO. We're the largest carrier. We're the big players. That's where all the big jobs are. All the eyes are on that market, profit center. And so I went for a position and got it. And it was running the claims department for GEICO in New York. And so it was a huge position within the company. You're talking, 500-600 people that you're responsible for, $1 billion plus, as far as books and what you're responsible to manage. And so it was just a high level, high stress position, but I got there, it was awesome. And so that was pretty exciting for me, and got there in a pretty, like I said, it was a quick ride for me to get there. But then when I got there, it didn't slow down. And so we had, in our business, in the insurance business, of course, catastrophes are like huge,
right?
Just how you manage them. And so we had two major catastrophes come through, but the last one being Hurricane Sandy. And so for New York, that was a devastation.
Yes.
And as far as dollars are concerned, it was huge. The largest that GEICO has ever experienced, even larger than Katrina. Katrina was more devastating. But overall, when you're taking a look at the severity and the destruction of a catastrophe in insurance terms, it was Sandy for us. So we got there, and that's when really my world started turning around. Just as far as like questioning, like, what am I doing? I'm seeing devastation. I'm working crazy hours, and I just had a heart change. Like I'm at the top of my career. I'm about, to become an officer of the company. All eyes on me. I mean, people are just praising the way that the catastrophe is being managed in a very stressful situation at the largest, profit center, in our company. Warren Buffett comes up and congratulates us for that. We're rated the #1 profit center. I can go on and on. And so, from a worldly perspective, I should be happy. I should be content. I should be excited about next steps, but I was miserable.
Wow.
So you have a defining moment again. What was that moment like? What happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So at GEICO, if you get invited to this leadership workshop, which is up in DC where their headquarters is, then you're set. And I got invited to that workshop, and it's for the first time in my life. I'm not a guy that normally experiences this, but I had an anxiety attack.
Oh, really?
And it was just like high level, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. Everybody's going, congratulations, Jason, at a local office. I can't believe it. This is awesome, man. You are just like moving up quick. And so, I just had a lot of anxiety, and I just sat down. I'm a man of faith. So I just sat down and just said, I don't know, God, why I'm experiencing this. Like, I should be happy. There's nothing wrong. The people I work with are awesome. The company's awesome. I'm making crazy money. And so why am I feeling this way? And I just think it was a tug on my heart that God said, I have different plans for you, and so I want you to go a different direction. And so I just really spent time, seeking him and being quiet and going, what does that mean? What does that look like? And that's kind of what led me to Omaha as far as, through that process of just really seeking next steps.
Right.
So, yeah. So now you're self-reflecting, and what did you decide what was your path out of that rat race?
So again, kind of always having that entrepreneur spirit in me. I'm like, I just want to start a business. I've always wanted to start a business. And so I started researching. It was and I think the trigger point for me was Sandy, it's Hurricane Sandy. Like, okay, now's the time to do it. If I'm going to do it. If not, I'm just going to stick and continue moving forward. And so I researched franchises, startups, buying a business, and just spent a lot of time doing that. And through that process, it kind of led me to just where I am, my skill sets and what was available. Franchise route was the best route for me. Trying to get into the franchise world and then buying multiple ones, growing them. And that led me to Christian Brothers Automotive.
But tell me this story. I know this story, and it's, I think sometimes you are guided to the answer. You can assign that to whatever you want to out there, but
right.
Tell me about that night when you found Christian Brothers.
Yeah, there's a lot of richness to the story, and I know because of time, I'm just trying to glaze over some of it. But so I'm sitting it was just crazy. I think I just came off of a, 65, 70 hour work week. It's Monday. I'm sitting after work. I'm sitting on my couch. Kids are at bed. Wife's going to bed. I'm researching, doing more research. I don't have a clue of what direction right now at this point. And so I am so tired from working the storm, all these late hours. I'm on the computer and I just fall asleep. And when I fall asleep, my page is at the Google search page. Nothing's on it. And so I fall asleep. I'm discouraged because I still don't know where I'm going, what I'm doing, kind of have an idea about franchises, but I wake up, I think it's 1:32 in the morning. And I wake up to Christian Brothers Automotive homepage.
Gary.
It wasn't there.
It was, I literally I yell for my wife after I read about it, because I knew about them because I'm in that world and I kind of knew about them. We dealt with them before. But as I'm getting into it, I'm like, wow, like this is exactly up my alley and what I think what I want. And so it was just crazy where it's like, obviously I took that as a sign, I can't explain it. I mean, I didn't type it in. It was Google. So it's one of those moments where it's like, okay, it just confirms to me my faith in that there's somebody out there looking out.
That's a great story.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to listen, right?
You got to listen.
Yeah. But you didn't know anybody in Omaha. So how is it that you end up in Omaha with a Christian Brothers franchise?
So Christian Brothers. And actually what was crazy, even after that moment, I started going to Chick-fil-A. All right. So Chick-fil-A was, I'm like, that's just kind of my go-to. I didn't have a passion for it, but I'm like, okay,
right.
It just makes sense. Faith organization and still my own business, low startup fees. And so I actually, and they tell you that it's easier to get into Harvard than it is to get a Chick-fil-A franchise.
I've heard that.
From outside. Inside, it's easier.
Yeah.
I get down to the last interview. So I'm just like, this is awesome. I still have Christian Brothers now. That's kind of my backup. These are my only two right now. And so they fly me to Atlanta. I'm sitting down, going through the interview. And sometimes when you're interviewing, you're just like, I'm killing it. You're like, yeah.
It's weird. I'm not getting that impression right now, but kidding, of course. No, I find your story fascinating.
That's why I love John. He talks truth.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear how you met this guy. But anyway,
exactly.
So you're killing this interview with
I'm killing
Chick-fil-A.
it. Yeah, unlike this one, I'm killing it. And so they come down to it, and you could just tell like they were engaged. And they come down and they ask the final question, and they look at me and they say, "Jason, just one final question. Why chicken?" And it was one of those where it's just like I didn't have an answer. I can't. Because
Jason, why Financial Flight Academy?
Right. Why chicken? Like, wow. So I'm scrambling. At that point, I'm mumbling. I'm not having smooth answers. They know it. But I go back to a previous answer that I said. And they're like, no. You earlier, you really talked about that very well. We got that part. But why chicken? And I bombed it. I can't even, to this point, I can't even tell you exactly what they said, but it was awful.
Really?
Yeah. And so they tell you, they'll tell you in the interview, they're like, look, if you get it, we're going to call you and let you know. But if you don't get it, we're not going to let you know why.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they called me and told me I didn't get it. I knew why. It was the question.
Right.
Started talking about veal. I don't know what's going on.
Right. I had a hamburger shirt on. I don't know if And I know why later, because I've talked to some folks and they'll tell you that there's something in that answer that they're looking for.
Oh,
because you get so many applications. And so, a lot of people come in and they do good in the interview. Long story short, obviously that was a sign for me to go, okay, I guess I'll pursue Christian Brothers.
Yeah.
I pursued Christian Brothers, and most franchises, right? And I don't mean this in a negative way, but it's just true. Most of them, man, as long as you got money, they'll take you.
Right. Sure.
He fogged the mirror
Yeah,
and he had money.
Right.
But Chick-fil-A wasn't like that, and Christian Brothers was not either. So then it's another intense process. I go through it. I get to the point where they're telling me, great, Jason, we're going to invite you to Houston for a final interview. But before we do, we need to let you know that it's about a 2 to 3 year process with us, because we don't buy existing buildings, we build them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. And I said, okay, thanks, but I think we're going to pass. And so I get a call back a week later going, hey, just want to throw this out there. The guy that purchased Omaha he's from Texas, and his uncle died and willed him a farm, and so he's backing out. So we have this location in Omaha that would be available in about 8 months. So I went back and I'm like, okay, well, 8 months. Okay, let me go back and tell the wife. And so I told Michelle, like, hey, there's this possibility. And she's like, absolutely not. I am not going to Omaha. She's whining and dining in New York, and I'm going to where?
Oh, goodness.
No. She was not happy. So anyway, long story short, we come here, we check it out, we do some research. Absolutely, when we came and visited, and it was just a day because Sandy was crazy. We fell in love. It was just one of those moments you get off and you're like, there's something about this place. We got to pursue it. And so we came back and told them, went through more interviews, and long story short, said, yeah, we signed up. We're doing it. We're coming to Omaha.
Okay. Well, and after we get back from this break, we will find out how you met my wonderful co-host, Mr. John Schutz.
How long do we have?
Hey, sorry for the interruption. I know you're listening to the podcast Financial Flight Academy, and we are so happy you're here. If you have any questions, please head over to soarwealthstrategies.com. or the show notes to find out how to reach us. We would love to hear from you. And great, we're back with Jason Hurt here at Financial Flight Academy. So, Jason, tell us how you met John Schutz.
Oh, John, I try to erase that memory.
It's usually one of those flashbulb memories. People know exactly where they were, what they were doing.
Yeah, not at all. So I came to Omaha, like I said, as far as with Christian Brothers. We moved here. And we knew immediately that we'd have to get connected. We don't know anybody. Like this is a faith walk. And so we don't know anybody. And we knew that we would have to network, get involved. And so we researched groups, and BNI came up. And so we went ahead and visited a BNI chapter here in Omaha. And that's where John was. And as much as I hate to say this, just because I know that he's a man of a lot of pride, I walk in there and he really just had him and a few others just had this comforting presence, welcoming presence. And so I just really connected immediately day one with that group. And I mean this, like John was the leader of that. I went back and said, hey, look, I think I want to go back. This was a really cool group. So it's through BNI, a networking group.
Great.
Well, your check will be in the mail for that little comment. I appreciate that.
I'll have to hear about that the rest of the day.
What I will say is Jason started attending those meetings, and he didn't even have a store where we could send people to. So how many, it was at least 6 months before you were up and running.
It was about 7 months before. So we had nothing. We were just kind of, okay, well, I promise it's coming.
Yeah. But it just tells you not a lot of people would do that, right? It's your work ethic and foresight into saying, hey, I got to start laying the groundwork for this thing now, and just trust that these folks are going to believe me that a store will actually appear. Yeah. So no, it was
right.
It was great. But now, so Jason, you are now with Chariots for Hope. You sold the Christian Brothers store. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And at the same time, when you were running that business, which was becoming very successful, you decided to start this charitable organization called Chariots for Hope. Why? Tell me about the organization.
Sure. Yeah, we had it. We just had a lot of single moms coming through our door at Christian Brothers. And so we just had this heavy burden, like, man, there's just got to be more. We got to do something on the side. And so we started it at Christian Brothers, and it got to the point where, we reached a crossroad where it's like, I can't manage both. I got to make a decision.
Right.
And so, we just decided, again, through prayer and counsel, we decided to sell the business, which, you guys would probably say as financial advisors and gurus, that's probably one of the worst things to do, is to buy a business and a year later sell it. For the most part. I mean, sometimes it works out, but and so we were looking at, $90,000 loss, real money. And,
Wow.
And so it was just, but we knew that we were called to do this through just a lot of process. And so we did it, and we went to Christian Brothers and told them that, hey, look, we're walking. And they said, that's nice. That's great. That's cute, Jason. But you're going to have to sell it. We're not helping you.
Right.
You're going to owe us the full fees, and we'll pray for you. So, that was kind of an eye-opening moment, because I guess inside I was thinking they would help.
Yeah.
And so we continued moving forward, because we knew we had this piece that we're going to do Chariots. And so we started the business plan and filing for the 501c3 and started networking more and trying to get board members. They came back 30 days later and said, Jason, we've been following you, because at that time we started, Facebook. We've been following you and praying ourselves, and we do feel that we're going to let you walk debt free.
Wow. That is amazing.
We believe in what you're doing. We do think it's a calling. And so, you, and not only are we going to let you walk, you don't have a job in 2 weeks. We got something to replace you. So it was a roller coaster ride where it's like, thank you, but what?
Surprise. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we didn't collect a paycheck for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Just went off our savings and just continued to believe in the organization. And so that leads us to Chariots for Hope. It is a nonprofit here in Omaha that started in Omaha, and it focuses on removing transportation barriers for people in need, people that are struggling, people that are moving forward. There's a lot of people that they're not ready for a car, they're not ready for that help. And so we vet those folks out. But the folks that are, we go ahead and team up with them and help them find reliable transportation so that they can move forward and get their kids to school and stay in their job and go to medical appointments. That started off in Omaha, and it just, because there's nothing out there like this, again, it just grew crazy. Referring organizations, nonprofit organizations were finding out about it. They need help with transportation. And so it's just a partnership. We just immediately got overwhelmed with applications. But God was just bringing people our way. I mean, we had great board members, great community. Our very first, what we call blessing, where we give cars away, and we don't give them away. There's actually a program fee that they have to pay. But that first time where we were able to team up with another organization and help a single mom by giving them a car, it was on Channel 7, Julie Cornell.
Okay.
And so that helped.
Sure,
right?
absolutely.
That obviously spread the word.
Right.
Got a lot of feedback from that. And we kept growing and growing.
People in this community of Omaha are so unbelievable willing to help. And when these organizations come together, it's very powerful.
Wow.
How many people do you think you've helped over the years with?
1,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's been crazy. And we were growing so fast. This is the other awesome part of the story is that we were building a program that was like an Uber for nonprofits. Just crazy feedback. It's needed in this community. There's more people without cars. They're not ready for cars. And so we were building the shuttle program. But then we ran across Mike Anderson, who owns Anderson Auto Group. He's got several dealerships in Lincoln, Grand Island, and St. Joe, Missouri. And he was doing something we were doing. And but he wasn't doing any of the programming. It was more just like Oprah. Everybody gets a car.
Right.
And good hearts, but
Sure.
He was teaming up, and he just saw through mutual friends, saw what we were doing and the program piece and the accountability piece that we were bringing to it. He just absolutely fell in love with that and set up a meeting and saying, hey, look, I'm going to merge with you, and everything we're doing, we're going to give to you and have you take over.
If you would, please talk a little bit more about that accountability piece that you talked to, because I think a lot of times people want to know, is there going to be accountability, not only at the charities level,
Right?
Is our money going towards what we think it's going to go towards, but also we want to know that this is an effective program. So if you would just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. So definitely a big part of our process is an application process. And so there's 2 stages. One, because we're referral based only, we have about 86 nonprofit partnerships in Omaha, and they vet their folks out and say, okay, Jason, Julie's ready. And then we take Julie's application, and then we take it through another level of vetting, bring them in for an interview orientation. We look at their budget. We make sure that they can afford. Right now, we only want to make sure that they can afford the insurance and gas. We'll take care of everything else. And so we take them through that to make sure that they are good candidates and that this is actually going to be a tool and not a burden on their journey. And so once we do that, we approve, and then they go into a waiting queue, and there's other things they have to do. So by the time that they actually get the car, they've gone through some stuff.
Right.
Right. And then once they get the car, in order to go ahead, the carrot to keep them in our life and continue to pour into them, we give them a warranty, because most folks at that point, they can't afford the car repairs if something were to go wrong.
Right.
So we take care of that as long as they're doing what we ask them to do, keeping insurance, keeping the car maintained, checking in with their referring organization and doing what they're asking to do.
Actually learning how to go beyond this.
Right.
Right.
That's right. And we're setting
And
up
be self-sufficient.
That's it.
Yeah.
Self-sufficient is a huge word for us. And so we're really in that time, in that 6 months, because it's a 6-month warranty. Once they get their car, we're building a transportation plan so that they're not back into this situation again once this car goes. Because it's a donated car. 95% of our cars come from the community.
Right.
Amazing folks in Omaha.
Thank you for taking two off my hands. I appreciate
that. Exactly. I mean,
And I have a feeling this is starting to grow outside of Omaha. Tell me about some of the other locations, other places, and
yeah. So once we saw that this is just the feedback we were getting from other cities that were following us, folks that we knew, and they're like, we want to bring this to our city. Like, nobody's doing this at this level. Then we really felt that we got to build a model, a growth model. We don't want to manage it internally. And so we set up a franchise model, right? Some of my franchise experience, it's called an affiliate. You guys are familiar with affiliates. It's not an actual franchise, but we built an affiliate program for folks to go ahead, almost like a turnkey. Hey, look, I've got local board and leaderships and folks that want to bring this into Chicago. I just need the platform and resources. We team up with them, train them, take a service fee, right, for training and maintaining what, their platforms. And our first one, we got done with that model, let's just say, 6 months ago. And our first affiliate, Chariots for Hope organization, is in La Crosse, Wisconsin. They just opened their doors 6 months ago, and they're doing amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jason, how do somebody help you at Chariots for Hope? How can they get in touch with you?
Man, there's all kinds of different ways. Obviously financial. So we got a website, a great website that you could go on to, Chariots, 4 hope.org, and give financially. Car donations, that fuels our mission. And so if you have a car that's just not working, or working, and we take all types of cars and conditions, that's huge for us. We take that, we restore it if we can, and then we plug it back into the community. So car donations, financial donations, volunteer. We have volunteer opportunities on our website. We'll direct you to those opportunities.
Right. Yeah, we have a lot of clients here at Soar Wealth Strategies that are very charitable. And
yes.
You talk about people that are 70 and a half and want to take that RMD money and donate that to a 501c3 organization. John, there's
direct from the IRA. That money's not taxed. Then we get into some more advanced planning ideas, donor advised funds and we're not going to go deep into this here because it's just too in depth. But with a DAF, donor advised fund, you can receive the income tax benefits associated with direct gifts to charity without the pressure of having to identify upfront which charities will ultimately benefit from the gift. You can stretch those out over time. Then we get into charitable remainder trusts. If you create a CRT, you can get into crats, there's all kinds of ways to do this. But you can take income for life or set up a period of time from the trust. So you as an individual can still get income off that trust, but the remainder after that time period goes to the charity. So you get a tax deduction there. There are benefits to a CRT. It's tax exempt. So it's appreciated assets within the trust. They don't result in a tax liability for the donor. So, Jason, I'm sure you have some familiarity with some of these things, huh?
Sure. Yes. Those are beautiful. We love DAFs.
I bet you do. And we can help folks with those things here. That's
these are all things that we do here at Soar Wealth Strategies. If you'd like to learn more, certainly check out our website and schedule some time with us, soarwealthstrategies.com.
Yep. You can just click on the schedule a call and on our website and get in touch with us. Jason Hurt of Chariots for Hope. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a great one. And thanks for sharing it.
I appreciate it. Really. I really do. I appreciate the invite. It's been great to talk.
Again, how do folks get in touch with you at Chariots for Hope?
www.chariots, 4 hope.org.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for joining us. And thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button there on the podcast. It's free. And we'll catch you next time on Financial Flight Academy.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Flight Academy podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at soarwealthstrategies.com or give us a call at 531-867-3400. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Soar Wealth Strategies. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service providers with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA SIPC, a registered investment advisor.